Good morning, humans. This is the Cartridge and Disc Podcast, your Gen X gamer here. And thank you for coming along with me in this morning drive. Let me tell you, I'm stuck in traffic right now, and I'm really grateful that you're sitting here right beside me, and we can talk about video games a little bit to make the day go by quicker. And I have a subject for you today, and let me tell you guys, these kind of things I don't research. I just read articles on the internet, and I, make a commentary, off the cuff commentary on here, sort of to get the conversation going, to get you thinking about these things, and hopefully pass the time in your office or wherever you may be. So let's talk about it. The Last of Us Part 2 Remake. I mean, just saying those words is just ludicrous, right? This game just came out. Now, I could see a director's cut. I could see new DLC, but pretty much a director's cut with added bonus content. Okay, I get it. Like Death Stranding director's cut. Okay, cool. But The Last of Us Part 2 Remake? I mean, I could see one, right? Last of Us Part 1 Remake. Now, let me say this, guys. The Last of Us Part 2 is a game that I didn't even play. And I didn't play because the story got spoiled for me on the internet. And it has nothing to do with anything else other than I didn't like where the story went. Right? I didn't. For me, it was like when they kill off a character in your favorite sitcom or your favorite show, and the show's just never the same again. Right? It's like when the 70s show Foreman left, or when Richard left Happy Days, it's just not the same. It's not the same, right? So I didn't want to go on with the game knowing what the story was, because the story was very important for me in the game, even more than the gameplay and what have you. So I still haven't even played it, to tell you the truth. I started playing it and I didn't like it that much. But anyway, getting back to the actual point, which is, why are they doing this? They're doing this because this is guaranteed money. They already have an audience. Right? Video games were better when people that didn't grow up with video games were in charge of these companies. If you go back to the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2 eras, right? They didn't know about video games. We didn't know what was successful and what happened. A lot of these hidden gems, right? A lot of the cult classics that now we feel so fond of were created. Games that, when they came out were not successful. Games that when it came out lost money. I mean, we can go through a list of games that nobody cared about back in the day that now everybody loves. There's plenty of those. And you know why that is? It's because back then, the people running these companies, they didn't know anything about video games. They would just license and let go, approve of anything that came out there because they just wanted content. They wanted products on their systems. They would produce anything, great ideas. Resistance, Fall of Man, the first one. Wow, what a great game. Right? And you can go back, if businesses, right, if the business of Sony was run today like it was back then, it wouldn't be as profitable, but they would have a lot more titles. But if you think of it backwards, if Sony was run like it is today back then, you wouldn't have any Parappa the Rappers. You wouldn't have any Legend of Dragoons. You wouldn't have a lot of games. There would have been any Persona Revelations back then. None of those things would have existed because they would have only invested in games that they knew were going to sell, where there were going to be a return on investment. How bad is it? Right? Why is it so bad, guys? Because you're having bean counters, right? Accountants run your creativity. Because what can happen? You want to know why they're going to make a Last of Us 2 Part 2 remake? Is because somebody went with a calculator and said, okay, look, if we make this game and we invest this amount of money, we might get anywhere from a 7 to 20% return on our money. And if we make a brand new IP, right, there is no guarantee we're going to make our money back. There's a 50-50 chance that we lose it all. It's a simple calculation. So, the business, unfortunately, is a business, and the preservation of capital is of high concern. Right? You can't put everything into R&D, and the R&D that they're doing at Sony, 40% of it is going to want to create their next Fortnite or their next Roblox or whatever game they think they can monetize for the future in order to compete with Xbox service, right? Because they're not going to be able to compete in a subscription service level. They already know that. They want to compete on having the game that makes the most amount of money for the major platforms. That's basically what they're going for. But what do you sacrifice in that business model? You sacrifice creativity, right? That is why people appreciate, for example, the Hideo Kojima's out there, right? A man that's going to make a game, and he's going to make it the way he wants to make it. There's no guarantees. He might lose you $100 million, right? But if he makes you money, he might make a great game or a game that people love. And it really is about the craft. That's why there's a Levine out there taking his time with a video game, making it right, and it's not going to come out until it comes out. He doesn't want to be pressured. It's about the game for him. But companies can't afford that. Companies can't afford having too many of those. So what is the answer? Right? What's going to be the answer here for creativity? Well, a lot of it is going to have to come from independence. A lot of it has to come from some R&D that these companies do, right? You do have to create some new IPs. Once in a while, you'll get a company making a new IP that hits, even if it's a multiplayer. Apex Legends, for example, was one of them, one that I remember, where it just came out of left field. They didn't even announce it. It just came out and people gravitated towards it. But those are very few and far between. I think the independent market is going to have to be where it's at. But the challenge there is that people are wanting these AAA experiences, and AAA games, we know now, cost about $250 million to do. Not only that, they take about 3 to 5 years to make. So you could be a fan of the game, when you first buy it, your first year of college, and by the time the sequel comes out, you're already at work and don't have time to play anymore. What is the solution? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where everything goes. I would imagine there would have to be a lot of independent creators, a lot of independent studios. And I think that with AI, that is going to help in the creativity process where, much smaller companies are going to be able to compete to provide at least some good experiences. And maybe the larger companies will buy those IPs and then turn them into the AAA experiences. Who knows? Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see. But I'm glad that the people running these video game companies now are not running, that weren't running the video game companies back then. They weren't. Or we wouldn't have had all the great games that we so deeply love and that are part of the retro experience. All right, guys, those are my thoughts for the morning. What do you guys think? Are you buying The Last of Us 2? Part 2 remake? I don't think I am. If anything, I'll probably buy the original one at a discount right now. You can buy it for pretty cheap right now for the PS4. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe for me if you enjoy this kind of content. And if not, you can enjoy the meme shorts that are coming through you throughout the day. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.